is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That is brand new stuff from the Winery Dogs, a band featuring Richie Kotzen and Billy Sheehan, and this guy, the great Mike Portnoy. Mike, how are you, man?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, Mike, Winery Dogs is, I would say, probably the best received project that you've had from fans, anyway, in a while, man. It has really gotten a lot of critical acclaim, man. Are you surprised coming out the gate how well it's been received?
Well, on one hand, I'm not surprised because I think it's an amazing album and an amazing band that could indeed appeal to everybody. But on the other hand, I am surprised. Just because, like you said, through the years I've seen some things that I've done that have appealed to some people and not others, and certain things that are certain people's taste but not others. So it's very refreshing to see something like this that has been universally embraced by every corner of the internet. Sure. And it's a refreshing surprise.
Sure. Now, Mike, talk a little bit about the band itself. I mean, certainly in the circles that you travel in, I'm sure you've crossed paths with both Richie and with Billy, obviously with Billy in the past. How did you guys kind of bring this project together?
Billy and I had worked together in many things through the past. We did a Rush tribute album together. We did a Who tribute band together. We have an instrumental project with Derek Sherinian and Tony McAlpine. So he and I had an existing working past. And then obviously Billy and Richie had an existing working past from the years they spent together in Mr. Big. So there were these kind of common ties between the three of us. And Billy and I were working on something else, and we wanted to do a power trio, new band. And long story short, our good friend Eddie Trunk recommended Richie Kotzen, and it was just a natural fit, and that's kind of where it began, and that's where we are.
Very cool. Now, one of the things that happens a lot of times with these bands, when you put virtuoso type guys together, which certainly all three of you are classified as, a lot of times when those types of musicians get together, the resulting music has tons of talent that you hear, but it doesn't have a lot of soul to it. That's what's very different about this project in my eyes, is that this really has a soulful, almost like you guys have been, touring for a while feel to it. What was it about these songs or about this grouping that really allowed you guys to have such depth to the music?
Well, soul is a good word to use, and Richie Kotzen is the king of soul. So when you have him singing and playing, you can't help but have that. And, I think for all three of us, it was real important for this band to be a song-oriented band and a vocal-oriented band. I think a lot of people, when they first heard about the three of us getting together, they expected some sort of instrumental shred fest, but really that was not what our intentions were with this. We wanted to be a classic power trio band with good songs, and, the playing and the instrumental abilities that the three of us kind of, incorporate, that was just going to be the icing on the cake. But first and foremost, we wanted to have good songs with memorable melodies and hooks. And then, the playing and the shredding was kind of just sprinkled on top.
Sure. Now you mentioned Richie as a singer, and I personally am a huge fan of Richie, as a vocalist, not necessarily as Poison Pastor Mr. Big or whatever, but I just don't think this guy gets the credit for his singing ability as he probably should. Do you think that that's the way it is?
Well, I think people just haven't been aware, and hopefully that's all going to change with the Winery Dogs. I know I fall into the same category myself, as far as being unaware of Richie's vocal abilities. Until I started working with him a couple of years ago, I had only really known him as the replacement guitar player in Mr. Big and Poison as well, like the majority of, the people in America. So it was a revelation for me as well. When I heard him sing, I was like, oh my God, this guy is the real deal, and So I think now it's, the cat's out of the bag, and people are really going to see the unbelievable talent that he is.
Sure, definitely. Now, Mike, you left your previous band that you started, Adrenaline Mob, to work full time on the Winery Dogs. How much of that is dedication to the new project versus maybe the business of Adrenaline Mob not picking up and growing as fast as maybe you envisioned it to when you started it?
Well, it's a combination of both. If I'm going to be straight up honest, which I always try to be.
Sure.
The first half, as you said, is now it's the Winery Dogs' turn. And when I left Dream Theater, my mission statement all along was that I was going to do many, many different things and plant these seeds and see which ones grew. And right now it's the Winery Dogs' turn with the album coming out and the tour dates on the schedule. That has to be my focus and my priority. I can only be in one place at any given moment. So, I had to commit to this in order to give it its best shot. But the other side of it is the business. To be honest, I love Adrenaline Mob and I love the album we made together and love the guys. But, it was kind of loved by a lot of people, but also not really liked by a lot of people as well. It got a lot of mixed reviews, and all I could do is do my best and give it my all. And at the end of the day, at the end of that cycle, I had to choose, look, do I play to 100 people a night with Adrenaline Mob, or do I go out there with the Winery Dogs and give it its best shot and give everything its fair day in the sun? It was a hard decision to make, but like I said, I can only be in one place at any given moment. And when you have these many things going simultaneously, at some point you have to make a decision, and one shoe has to drop.
Sure. Is it disappointing? And I know there's a stock answer that everybody gives that, oh no, we do it for our own love of the music and blah blah blah. But is it disappointing when you really put together something as you did with Adrenaline Mob, and you feel good about it, and it just doesn't get received for whatever reason, the way that you think that it should?
Well, yeah, it's disappointing, and man, I spent the first 10 years of Dream Theater with those feelings.
Okay.
The success that I left Dream Theater at, 3 years ago wasn't always at that level. The first 10 years of Dream Theater was struggling and playing to 100 people a night, and really having to build from the ground up. And not everybody understood Dream Theater in the beginning. Shit, not everybody even understands Dream Theater now. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Mm-hmm. It took many, many years of perseverance to build that. The difference, though, is I was 20 years old with that, and Dream Theater, I had that kind of time, and I didn't have a family to provide for, and I could just get in a van, for years and build it from the bottom up. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, I can't do that now with Adrenaline Mob. I'm 46 years old, and I have a family to provide for, and I wish I could say, okay, I'm going to spend the next 10 years in a van building up Adrenaline Mob in the clubs. But the reality is, I have a life and a career and a family, and if I have other things like the Winery Dogs or Flying Colors or Transatlantic that have opportunities to be doing big things that have audiences, I need to go where the demand is. I guess I'm in a situation where, luckily, I don't have to only do one thing. I have many opportunities to do many different things, and I have to go where the opportunities are.
Absolutely. Now, Mike, your career has certainly been one that has been littered with unbelievably talented guitar players, as well as all the musicians around you. But I mean, when you name off the guitar players that you've played with even in the last 5-8 years, Petrucci, Ward, Mike Orlando, Richie Kotzen, these are elite players that you've written with in very different styles. You've really had to write differently with each one of these guys. How important is it to have that kind of talent, more or less, on the guitar coming to you, to where you can almost kind of explore different avenues without being limited?
It's incredible. I mean, I'm truly honored to have worked with so many amazing guitar players. I mean, you could also add to the list, this short list that you just named, add to it Paul Gilbert, Sonny McAlpine, and Steve Morse, and John Sykes for other guys I've worked with in the last couple of years. So it really, truly is an amazing list. And each and every one of these guys inspire me to go different places and try different things. And that's my motivation, you know, in everything I do right now, in all these different bands and projects. It's the inspiration of the people that I'm surrounded by that drives me and inspires me to go new places. And that's, you know, that's where I'm at in 2013. And that's kind of why I needed a break from Dream Theater. I needed to work with different people and try different things and different styles. And, you know, change is crucial for growth. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'd be able to spend my entire life and career only playing with, you know, one guitar player and one singer and one bass player. You know, I would just get stagnant. I needed to do lots of different things with lots of different people in order to grow.
Sure. Well, Mike, let me ask you one hard one here. Not, I guess it's probably not a hard one, but it's just it is the way it is today. No secret that with you, the internet trolls love to hate on you for whatever reason.
I know.
You know, they just do. And they specifically love to hate on you, basically no matter what you do when anybody asks you a Dream Theater question. You know, you just get pounded.
Don't put me in the spot.
Don't
put me on the spot and
I'm not.
open me up anymore.
I'm not. I came into this swearing I wasn't going to ask Dream Theater questions, and I'm not.
Thank you.
My only question that I have is, why at this point do you even bother answering Dream Theater questions? Why don't you just say, you know what, Ben answered, next question?
I know, because when I get asked it and then I say I don't want to talk about it, then that's what goes in print and that becomes the headline, and then I'm still the bad guy. There's no winning. Right. My problem is that I care too much and I'm too honest. To be honest, that's the problem. I wish I could say I have thick skin and I don't give a shit what people say, but the reality is I do care what people say, and I've always been that way. I read the internet and I care what the fans have to say, and when they tear me apart, I wish I could say it doesn't bother me, but the reality is that, you know, I'm human.
Sure.
And I guess I have to. That's the bad that comes with the good. You know, the good is that I do care and I read the internet and I try to be a very fan-oriented artist. Mm-hmm. But you know, the bad that comes with that is that I'm also subject to, you know, to all the ridicule and the criticism and things like that. So, you know, what can I say? It is what it is, and I try my best to ignore it and try to. The reality is, for every one person that tears me apart and hates me, I see 99 other people that are supportive and get it and are behind me, and you know. I guess that's what I really need to focus on and appreciate.
Sure. It's kind of Howard Stern syndrome. If 20% love you and 80% hate you, then you're ultimately successful.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Well, Mike, what's up with the touring plans for, you know, the immediate and the longer term future as Winery Dogs goes forward?
Well, we just wrapped up the first leg, which was Japan and South America, as well as a few one-offs in the States. But now we're about to head over to Europe for all of September, and then starting in October, do a full-on American tour throughout October and November. And that's the immediate plans for the Winery Dogs. But we plan on continuing that well into 2014, and all three of us have cleared our schedules as best as we can for all Winery Dog activities, and it's the priority for all three of us. And you know, we look forward to touring as much as we can in the next 12 months, everywhere that will have us.
Excellent. Well, Mike, before I let you go, I have to ask you what is known as the traditional classic metal show question. We ask this of everybody, and this, I'm sure you'll have an answer. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
Lemmy is the ultimate rock star. He's the godfather of hard rock and heavy metal, even though he claims he's just rock and roll.
Sure.
But man, he is the quintessential rock star. You know, the Jack Daniels drinking, groupie shagging, playing the Rickenbacker through the Marshall Stacks on 11,
right?
Rock star, and he's one of a kind. He's definitely one of those people that is, as legendary as it comes.
Sure.
First time I saw Motorhead, I was about 15 years old, and it was the loudest fucking concert I had ever seen in my life.
Nice.
And I don't think I've ever been the same since.
Very cool, man. Well, Mike, the new project is simply called the Winery Dogs. The album is out there for people to check out. And as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track and maybe tell us a story about it. So what would you like us to close the interview with?
How about the opening track on the album, Elevate, which is a lot of people's first taste of the Winery Dogs. And to me, it's one of those songs that has everything that the Winery Dogs are about in one song. It's got some shredding playing. It's got some great vocal hooks and melodies. And, what other song can you hear on the radio that has a guitar solo, a bass solo, and a drum solo? So I think it says it all.
Very cool. Well, let's check it out right now. This is Elevate. It is the Winery Dogs right here on your Classic Metal Show.